the pledge and remain standing for the prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for each and every individual in this room and in this community. We pray for your guidance and strength upon all of us. And it's awesome that you know the hurts and the hopes of all of our hearts. And we pray that that knowledge reaches everyone, not just in this room, but in this entire shadow of a doubt that they are not alone, that they are cared for, and that they are loved. We thank you for all your blessings, and we thank you for the opportunities that we have this evening, for the folks that are attending to present, to the folks that are here that have cares or things they've done in the community. We thank you for them, and we just thank you for your wisdom to help us make the decisions that best reflect you in this community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Seriously, Cindy, if you would, roll call.
Brandon Elmore.
Present.
Bob Leahy.
Here.
Jason Brewer.
Here.
Tim Heiss.
Here.
Tito Pereira.
Here.
All right, now we've got a slight tweak to the agenda that's not on here, but if you would bear with me. We have a young individual that's here this evening that I promised his coach that I would not keep him long because he's already had a full day at the between school and practice and, well, I guess lifting and whatever game film that you guys had tonight, but still. My wife had shared something with me, and it really stuck with me, and I wanted to share it with everybody. Make no mistake, we're proud of every accomplishment of every organization and team in this community. So like the tennis team won county, I think it was. Awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Obviously, championships come and go, and we're thankful for each and every one and all the effort goes in that. However, the way we conduct ourselves, that tends to last a lifetime, and it tends to have a lasting impression on folks. So I wanted to read this to you. This is from it's from an official. I won't say his name because I don't know if I have the authority to do so, but from an official from Friday night's game. He wanted to make note of this. He did a report on this, an exemplary behavior report. My crew had the pleasure of working a football game at Union City. Union City sportsmanship from the opening kickoff until the final horn was phenomenal. The players, the coaches, and the administration all deserve praise for their actions tonight. We did not hear a single negative word from anyone. Their players were constantly helping up their opponents, congratulating them on good plays, and just being overall great sports. I want to single out one player, number 50, which according to Max Preps is Tristan Watson. Mr. Watson made several big hits during the game and was always helping up his opponents. In one particular instance, he made a huge, yet legal, hit on the quarterback. The play moved down the field and he did along with it. But he came back and made sure the quarterback was okay and helped him off the ground. He seemed like a fantastic young man. That's from the official from Friday night's game. So, I wanted to read that, but I wanted to present something for him. From the office of the Mayor of Union City, Indiana. If you would, Tristan, please stand up. This is Mr. Tristan Watson, by the way. I would hereby recognize Mr. Tristan Watson, his team, and his coaching staff for their exemplary conduct during gameplay on September 9th, 2022. Specifically, Tristan's model performance in assisting an opponent on the field exemplifies excellence in sportsmanship. He and his team are commended for the outstanding manner in which they represented their school and the community of Union City. A sincere thank you for a job well done. Congratulations. Very, very nice. So, and like I said to your coach, I do not expect you guys to stay for the meetings, but you're more than welcome to. You're always welcome to. But with that, we will move along to the consent agenda. Thank you again. I trust you've had an opportunity to review the consent agenda. Okay, and if not, or if there are no questions or comments, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I have one.
Yes?
I just noticed there was some electric bills from Indiana, Michigan that seemed like extremely high. And that's not even counting the small nominations on some of them, but there was 3 that ended up almost close to $16,000, and I was just kind of curious what those entailed.
We are at, okay, what page?
It's kind of spread maybe over 3 pages, but I can't tell you exactly which ones.
Okay, I've seen 2, so we're Indiana, Michigan Power, 70, both have been in the 7,000 range. But you said you saw one for, you said 16?
Well, no, that's the total check.
Oh, that's the
There
total,
was 3.
okay.
Actually, it was like 29.76, 48.45, and 79.19.
Okay. Of course, we don't have Jan here at the moment. Cindy, you probably would not have any insight on that at the moment, correct?
I may if I can find them.
Okay.
What page?
Page what? Let me see, wait a second, here, go back here.
I didn't write the page numbers down, so.
No, it's all right. I had it just a second ago. Goodness gracious. There's Park.
There's a 7,001 on page 2 of the, of which one? Right. Of the water one.
Page 2 of the water. Yeah, there we go, yeah. 74,891 is the number on that one.
Yep.
And for a total of 74,76. That would be on page, 2 of the water, Jan, or Cindy. So as she looks that up, any other questions?
I guess in
If
relation
not,
to
we'll
that,
table, what's that?
I guess in relation to that, I mean, are those typical expenses that we see of that amount, or what would cause them to be that high?
I don't think so.
I don't know, cause I don't have purview on that on a regular basis, but I would say that Jan hasn't had any conversation that the bills seemed out of the normal.
And that may
Range.
be, I don't have a water bill in front of me, but I know there was a high bill because the generator had ran, because they had lost power. And I know that caused one of the electric bills to be really high. The generator had ran like all night and into the next day before they found out that they had a
wasn't
power
too
outage.
That would be.
That wouldn't have been
That would
electricity.
be electric.
That should've, I think it was the high service pump for pumping water ran.
I know there was one that caused a high
Yeah.
electric bill.
I can look into it and let you know exactly, but I think that's probably fairly normal for
Okay.
our electric bills
Okay.
for the
I
water and
just-
the wastewater
It
plants.
just seemed like they stuck out to me, I'm not sure, but.
Yeah, Jan hasn't said anything that the electric bill's out of whack, but we'll check with her.
And she would be one of the first.
I could pull the actual bills.
So you comfortable moving forward pending further feedback on that?
Yes, I will move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
We have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Consent agenda approved. Now we do have presenters tonight. First off, Mr. Bill Corbin with Vision Corner. And if you want to go ahead and cue up the, well, actually, you know what? Do you mind us doing a switch real quick and have Lisa go first? Sure. She doesn't need to, because we need to cue that up. So Lisa, if you, yeah, if you don't mind, if you're okay with that. Well, you either there or go to the podium, whichever you're more comfortable with.
Thank you. get the information about what I was going to be speaking about today? Okay, great. Well, I'm Lisa Jennings from the Community Foundation in Randolph County. It's great to be here. Wanted to share with you an initiative happening at a county level to bring together funders throughout the county. This started back in 2018 when Mr. Greg Weimer was the Economic Development Executive Director. He contracted with Ball State to explore what the issues and strengths of our county were at the time, and that has resulted in a long process of trying to work with different organizations to kind of target where we need to focus on certain areas within our county. The Ball State report revealed what citizens of our county thought should be the priorities. And as you probably know, there was a leadership change at the economic development. It became Randolph County United. And with that restructure, they took this report to heart and they put strategic initiatives around this report and created action committees to focus on these areas that the report reflected as important for our county. The Community Foundation got involved too because of Lilly Endowment. So we were able to write a grant to Lilly Endowment to continue this work with Ball State and partner with economic development to further this work with the action teams. So our part as a community foundation is oftentimes we are a funder for, we write grants, we do a lot of granting in the community, we're a funder, but we're only one funder. So our thought was to bring together multiple funders in the county and pool our resources and be collaborative. And we want to try to facilitate alignment around initiatives with funders. So that's the concept of the Forum of Funders. And so we wrote a grant on that, we got our grant, and so our initiative is to continue the partnership with economic development, have these action groups focus on the needs of the county and bring forward ideas, and then to have a collaborative of funders around the table to help support what's coming out of those action groups. So the Community Foundation established what we call a Forum of Funders. It's a pilot program, 3-year pilot program to be collaborative in grant making. And we want to invite the City of Union City to be part of our Forum of Funders. It is a request for a 3-year commitment. It would provide 1 seat around the table for 1 vote among the peers that are around the table. And so we would welcome your involvement. I guess, does anyone have questions about more about it? I have a board member here, Bob Gentry as well, who's been part of this all along. So together maybe we can answer concerns or questions.
And the other entities that are already on board?
Yes, we have successfully received a commitment, a 3-year commitment from the county commissioners, $10,000 a year for 3 years. Also the county council, the same amount. The city of Winchester is participating. The Community Foundation has stepped up as well to be part of it, so we'll be at the table. Randolph County United is also participating. And we have the Winchester Foundation as a long-time 75-year foundation in Winchester. Actually committed $75,000 to the Community Foundation, and the Community Foundation allocated the full amount to this initiative. So, and the Lilly funding through the grant that was written. So far we have amassed over $250,000 towards this. So we're hopeful to be able to put some of these ideas to work in our communities and help fuel, what's happening with these action groups. And this is a model that is successful in other counties and other places in the country. We've been working with a consultant out of the Cleveland area who has done a similar type of Forum of Funders in that area. It's been extremely helpful. Delaware County has had a forum of funders for over 20 years. So it's great to know that maybe we're starting, this is the start of something that'll be around for a long time. And that's more about it.
What questions do you guys have?
I believe those are all that we have involved at this point. We have approached several others that we're still pursuing to have more people around the table, but we really have enough right now to get started. So I'd like to know if you have any questions or if you would like have an interest in this.
I do have questions. Tell us the amount again, please.
It's a 3-year program. It's $10,000 a year for 3 years, this pilot program. That could start funding next year or this year. We're going to start having initial meetings yet this fall to put some structure around the forum of funders, and we'll probably hopefully grant as soon as we can.
So the funds that you are asking for are ones that would go into grants?
Yes, this would be granted back out for initiatives that are going to be brought forward from these action committees.
Okay. And this body or someone from the city of Union City would have a member there?
Yes.
Make a point, each funder has one vote. They made that very clear to us up in Cleveland when they put this together. They had some problems because some funders were putting $1 million in, and somebody else was putting in 30,000, and they thought they should have more votes. Doesn't work that way. Every funder has one vote, and the forum of funders makes the decision on these grant requests from these committees. I think our mayor is on one of the committees, aren't you?
The housing and the trails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they will come up with plans, and they'll come to this forum of funders and present their plan, their grant request, and that forum will make the decision. The Community Foundation is just the fiscal agent. We'll write the check, but we'll have one vote just like everybody else. Sorry, Lisa. I did. You know I couldn't be quiet the whole time.
Question, do you know of any of the initiatives, I mean, have they started like drafting like concept papers, or I mean, do you have an idea of what they want to do?
Yes, no, the committees have been meeting for quite some time, so there are several initiatives underway. As Mayor Spence knows, the Trails Committee is very hopeful to apply for, I think, a $2 million grant this fall. That's going to require support, some matching dollars potentially. That's something that we could help be part of. There's a kayak committee that has gained some traction. They're already seeking a rapid grant from Ball Brothers Foundation, looking to work with also the IU students in law school, getting some free time from them to help. There's several hurdles to go through in making the White River navigable. So there's just a lot of steps involved with hopefully bringing some kayak options to our county. We have education initiatives happening. There's an education coalition to help with early childhood education, and some efforts in that respect, how to support the schools and what they're doing with respect to early education, and how can we come alongside that. Housing, I know I'm not part of that. Maybe you can speak to that. I know that Ball State has continued to provide some really hands-on coaching with that committee. And there is an initiative around that committee that is going to need significant funding. And that reminds me of a good point. This isn't really meant to be the full funder of anything, but to also just support what's happening, because oftentimes there's big ideas, but they need another resource for matching or to come alongside maybe others. But if this is kind of a way for opportunities to come through a format of discussion with action committees, come to the forum of funders for discussion, and then maybe there could be a more formal recommendation made to other groups, so that there has been a kind of vetted process for requests of funding. So talked about how this could be a place for ideas to start. You know, I'm sure you get a lot of asks. This could be a place for ideas to come in and start, incubate and grow, develop, come to the forum. If you receive favorable recommendation, we'll support it and then maybe bring in some other partners.
I don't want to be the only one asking questions. Do any of those in your, what you know of the various initiatives, any of them targeting any activities in Union City in particular that you know of?
Well, I'm not sure about the housing. Is that
The housing would be one. The housing initiative is one where they've actually, through Ball State and the housing group, we're in the midst of securing an outside entity that have done work throughout the state, that they're charged with going into if we have a plan, like say townhouse, market rate townhouse options for people, in other words, in this area. Because we've had obviously an outcry that certain housing that was made available, people made too much money to live there and they need places to stay. If that is an option here, they will vet that out. They present the plan exactly what we need to do, how we need to do it, and the ways we can get it done. They won't just say, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, go ahead and go for it, you know, and then stop. They actually lay out the steps from A to Z on what needs to be done and how to get it done. And they gave numerous examples. I can't remember the small town that was similar to our size. That's what struck my interest, because they had a comparable for Union City in Indiana, and where it was successful. And so, and Bob's got his initiatives, and then they said, you know, if there's another initiative, they could get behind 2 or 3 housing initiatives in Randolph County, and ideally Winchester and Union City would have stakes in that game because we're the 2 biggest markets in the county, and then somewhere else in the county if they would happen to have one. This entity could help drive that forward. That's the idea behind it. But you know, obviously we're not anywhere near bringing something to you guys to vote upon. But the idea is that will happen, and the concept of this is they would be a player in helping make that happen. So I guess the devil's advocate could say, well, wait a second, are we gonna need like $30,000? That's the hard part to make that happen, which is what we're giving them. So are we just getting our money back? I don't know. But if that is the case, if this is an initiative that we do find that is worthwhile to pursue, and it is 30 or 40,000, well then, and the Founders Forum says, yes, this is something we want to be behind, then I guess you're not out anything. I'm not saying that's how it would happen. I'm just proposing something, you know, for consideration. So.
And I think, you know, tell me let me know if I'm, you know, if I'm on the wrong path or, you know, not understanding something. But when we do things that support initiatives in the county, like the purpose is development, the purpose is to bring tourism, attract people to the county, and it, you know, that will lead to, you know, better business opportunities in the county, and as that, you know, that increases, you get more tax revenue for the county, and that also benefits Union City. So I don't know. I think I like the initiatives.
Yeah.
Well, if there's no other question, I appreciate. I don't know if you guys want the time to deliberate and then come back with an answer. That'd be fine. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts? Ball's in your court.
The comment I'll make is that I think the structure is really important and critical, because no matter what the amount, I understand the opportunities, especially with the foundation and the potential grants and using it as matching, and we could build a lot, but we also have to always keep in mind the responsibility to our taxpayers, that we're charged with how we spend our taxpayer dollars. So we have to be very careful how we delegate those decisions to other groups or other people.
Absolutely.
And so we have to be very vigilant that structure is sound, that our taxpayers don't feel like they're not getting the.
We want a representative.
And I was a charter member of the community foundation, so not that means anything, but I was
Well,
I
we
get the
want a voice
concept
from
on the
Union City.
foundation.
We clearly, that's what's important to us, is to have Union City representation around this table. But then also to have skin in the game of these decisions. And just, I received a letter today from Lilly Endowment, because I had recently submitted a report to them, actually back in February. And he was commenting on, the fact that we're working to establish this forum and trying to coordinate the forum. And he said, I look forward to future reports of how this is helping to facilitate more alignment and coordination among different funding partners. And that's just really, he fully gets what we're trying to do, is to bring alignment around initiatives that will benefit, and as Tito said, the whole community of Randolph County. So that's where we would welcome your attendance and be part of it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank
sure.
you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, now, I think we're, hey Dave, I think we're queued up now, so now we'll turn it over to Bill. Mike, I apologize, we've just shuffled. So Bill Corbin with Vision Corner.
So Bill, do you want me to go ahead and hit play?
Yeah.
Thank you for exploring Vision Corner, a vital part of today's energy in Union City. Vision Corner will be a downtown symbol of Union City revitalization and will become an active player in Union City economic resurgence. In many ways, the wheels of progress are already turning. Direct engagement of our outstanding school system, lifestyle enhancement opportunities, expanding technical infrastructure, aggressive new housing development, corporate economic development, and a revitalized downtown where Vision Corner, as symbol of change, is making a difference already. The mission of Vision Corner is career-focused education. The education leads to target first jobs, supports expanded effectiveness in the workplace, and leads to long-term career objectives. Vision Corner's mission encompasses high school students preparing for life's next stages, education tailored to striving adults, tailored education for companies and their employees, and support of new business startups and established small businesses. Vision Corner becomes the downtown studios of K.I.S.S TV, greatly expanding the scope of technology and the opportunity for real-world business and communication education. Our outstanding DECA Apache program comes downtown, presenting a whole host of new learning experiences, including operation of a freestanding retail shop. Adult education will be provided by our growing set of collaboration partners, including Ivy Tech, Ball State, the John Jay Center in Portland, and state and federal agencies, and our own local teaching team. The scope of adult education will include guidance, constant monitoring of changing workplace opportunities, and the steps necessary to pursue. Specific career focus skills, including technology, software, and internet savvy. The softer skills of workplace readiness, communication, teamwork, personal qualities, and expectations. And higher level preparations such as leadership, project management, and launching and operating a business. Vision Corner will serve corporate clients through internships, apprenticeships, and programs designed to encourage graduates to work in their hometown. Active use of facilities and technology, and collaboration in programs customized to meet the needs of a single business. For Union City, Vision Corner represents a bold step into the future, and it will make a real difference. It is truly a community project involving teamwork by the school, the city, businesses, and we the people. So learn more at visioncorner.org. We invite you to find a way to help make it happen. Thank you.
Very good.
The part of the reason we wanted to make this video first at zero budget, as you might have been able to tell a couple times. But part of what Vision Corner needs, of course, is what is it all about, big picture. And when we started, we knew that we would have the K.I.S.S TV and the DECA programs, but when you think about economic development and what's possible, if we can since we can create a learning center, then that changes the game at least twice. You have one that you're talking about adults and the people that are in the workplace and want to get better, that kind of thing. So you've elevated the game into economics for that reason. But then the other one is just that the whole idea of being part of the what is it? Just part of the engine of commerce in town. Just there. Especially because we're still there's let's just say there's chamber of commerce kind of opportunities that still exist and are needed. So that puts Vision Corner just in the business of helping business, and as you point out. So examples of that, what we really did was start right away. One possibility we had was to wait until Vision Corner is fully built. But then we said to ourselves, really, Vision Corner is not a building. It's an idea for energetic engagement in what goes on in town. So just for example, based on that alone, we were able to make a compelling, obviously, presentation to Ivy Tech, and the first class will start there.
Well, we have a meeting this Friday for the details on the Spanish to English workforce development. Use of workforce English in the workplace, I guess I should say. I think is how they label it. Because we have the need for a broadening workforce. Workforce has brought this up to us a number of times. And so have some of the smaller manufacturers. So,
and we had the chance to present. It's one of those things you say boldly say you can do this and go out and do it. But we presented twice at Workhorse when they were just coming into town and had attempts they were trying to make to communicate with the Union City community from Ohio and what are they like and that kind of thing. So we had a hands-on opportunity to work with them. So again, part of what we wanted to do with that kind of thing was just get in motion. Almost not without regard to what it was, of course, but just the opportunity to be involved. We met twice, I think, Steve, with the retail merchants group here in town, and had some just marketing and business development ideas to present there. So we really have Vision Corner happening in a lot of ways. Obviously, when the building's done, there'll be a lot more ways. But again, I think the key is another good example would be entrepreneurship. You know, entrepreneurship it's easy to say it. We should be doing things to develop entrepreneurs. It's a whole different matter to do it and to have something worthwhile for them. So the kind of thing that we maybe will evolve into some of these things, but you can visualize things like the incubation programs that they have in various cities, where in effect you're providing a place and some resources for a person to start their business, and that's how it starts. We want to start working with DECA along those lines too, just to get more entrepreneurial orientation there. So the idea of it is to focus it on career-oriented education, and then to, in a way, just find our opportunities to serve. But there's no doubt at all that there will be opportunities, and we just want to be there when there are.
Absolutely. Any questions? It's more of a review and progress check, I guess, if you will, because obviously the windows are in now up front, so that's changed the look of the building quite a bit, but there's still significant changes forthcoming. And the mechanicals, that's what of course, this project, I know I've said before, I apologize to you guys, you've heard this a number of times, but for anybody watching that may not have caught this, the project was ranked #1 out of 142 submitted projects from the region, which the region comprises of 8 counties: Delaware, Randolph, Wayne, Jay, surrounding counties, contiguous counties. And of the 142 submitted, Vision Corner scored the highest. And so that garnered $400,000 toward the project that goes toward the mechanicals, which the bid is ending 21st of this month, in which case we can select, the winning bid, and then the winning bidder will start the mechanical work, and that's when the meat and potatoes inside the building will really take off. Get that done, then the drywall, and so Tim could write a book on that, and all the things that follows after that, and that's when it really comes together. So we're excited for that. But yeah, the workforce development is huge. It really is. Good, Tim.
I think what I think is huge about it is how encompassing it is.
Yes.
And it's hitting so many things, and like just the entrepreneurial program can be one of the things that there are people that want to be in business and have the drive to do that. It's really hard to learn everything you need to know to do that. It's most of the focus is on facilities and financing and so forth, but not too many people learn right away about navigating all the government entities that you'll have to deal with, all the work how you're going to have to deal with the state, between just simple things like sales tax and all the employment, the demands that you're as an employer, even if you're self-employed, that you've got to go through. And I think a lot of businesses fail because they fail to navigate all those things. They end up in tax problems, they end up in reporting problems. Sometimes it's just a matter of just not sending the report. You don't, the dollar amounts, just unemployment. The dollar amounts really aren't very high, but boy, if you don't report,
it changes.
And those things change continually too, as far as technology changes and how it's done. So, that's just an example of one of the things I think is really important.
Yeah. When you think that part of what we're wanting to bring is what I just call savvy. That you can read books, but when you get in the trenches, it's a whole different thing. When I talk to possible entrepreneurs, the first thing I do is try to talk them out of it. Because there's this glamorized notion that we've been in the trenches laugh at now. I'm going to be my own boss. I'm going to be my own boss. I'm going to set my own hours.
All of them.
And of course, my idea is wonderful. And really, you do an enormous favor to a lot of people to let them know the real truth. And then really say, be really sure you want to do this, and then we'll talk about whether or the house and some of that kind of thing.
One of the big reminders is who's paying for your next vacation. Holy, there are no more paid vacations. I don't have a paid vacation. There's no such thing because I sign my own check. It's just part of it.
So I hope that. Not hope, we're showing it already. We can bring practical education of various kinds. We can. And then people like Ivy Tech, we've had good interaction with Ball State already, is saying we can also bring in the more formal kind of education. And between the two, we're making a difference.
Well, Bill, thank you so much.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now, patiently waiting, Mr. Mike Rowers. Speaking of development, we're Eastern Indiana Works. So, Mike, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
I've met everyone, and I've talked to Bill on the phone many times.
So good to see you.
So good to see you in person, yes. My name's Mike Rowell. I'm not the dirty jobs guy. So, I know there may have been some excitement when you saw that on the agenda. It's a celebrity coming in, but you got stuck with me. So, it's my privilege to serve as the president and CEO of Eastern Indiana Works, which is your regional workforce development board. Just as a precursor to what I'm about to talk to you about, we're not government. So not that there's anything wrong with government, but we are a private sector 501c3 corporation. And I know that my assumption is that Mayor Spence is too humble to tell you this, but he was recently elected by his peers, all of the chief local elected officials, the mayors, and the commissioner presidents in the region to the vice chair of the regional chief local elected officials council. Yes, that's a mouthful, but people don't normally know that that even exists. But Eastern Indiana Works convenes that group to make decisions that impact our region significantly on the workforce development side. So we're your one-stop shop for workforce development, and I've talked to Bill and the mayor and everyone about the concept that you just saw. And, so we are an incubator of ideas, which is a dramatic shift from what we were in the past. And we had to shift or die. So we had to change or die. So what we've done is shift our business model to one that delivers workforce development services of all kinds to all ages, electronically or virtually, also in person if the client requires that. And then there is no barrier that's too great for us to not be able to deliver those services. So we're approximately $6.8 million a year in annual budget, which we hope to grow that to $50 million in the very near future. So that money goes towards the delivery of services. And again, we're a business, so in the C3 realm, we do accept community foundation grants. I had to do that. No, we work all
Lisa Jennings is here.
And we have a list. We're connected to all of the 155 approved training providers in the state of Indiana, and we bid those options out to our clients. So if one training provider comes in higher, we're saying, hey, we're getting something from Purdue. We're getting a cheaper bid from IU. I'm just going off the top of my head here. But we can get the cheapest price for our clients, which means that the monies go more towards something called work experience, where we mitigate the risk of employers by paying they're our employee until the employer says, yeah, I want that person. So they run the traps on the individual, whether they have a criminal record, an addictions past, a never worked before past, believe it or not, there are those in our communities that have never seen anyone work before. So that's the environment they come from. So, and so we work through all the barriers. There are none that are too great, and we incubate, I call it red teaming, which is a IT security process, where we just, and I did that in law enforcement too, before we served felony warrant services. And we would just, you'll find as you talk to me longer, I have not held a job very long, so. I've been in all kinds of professions, so it's, but I did stay in law enforcement for 21 years, so if I've arrested anyone in the room, forgive me. Yeah, it's a privilege to serve you. You have a couple of sheets I passed out before the meeting that has a brief overview. EasternIndianaWorks.org is our website, gives more details. It's Jamie Meadows is on the board, of course. Mayor Spence is also intimately involved with our strategies. If you need anything from us, labor market reports, drive ring workups. We look at 50 miles, you know, so we work with all the economic development groups in the region. We found that people will drive 50 miles for a decent paying job. So we'll work those numbers up for you. We're data, we're training, we're wraparound services, whatever you need. We're here to serve sacrificially. So we also have a newsletter if you want to sign up for that with the latest, most recent emerging things that we want to offer. And so it's a privilege to serve, and I'll be glad to answer any questions or address any concerns that you have with workforce. But a lot of the topics have already been hit, you know, with housing, and we're seeing a real emerging thing with the necessity for the highest quality broadband, you know, with companies. So we work with all the employers in the region. It's not me directly, oftentimes, but it'll be our employer engagement professionals. So I went on and cut into your question time. I'm sorry.
You're good. Guys got any thoughts, questions, comments?
No.
Yeah. Well, Mike, thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you
This
very
has been
much,
wonderful.
everyone. Thank
No,
you.
appreciate you.
I apologize. My wife got, she's gonna have to go in for a procedure, 5:30 in the morning,
Oh,
so.
sorry.
Yeah, we've been waiting for it. It's an answer to prayer,
Oh,
so
awesome.
she's, yeah.
That'll be pretty
She made it through the insurance process and she's gonna go. So I gotta take her to downtown India
God bless you, man.
in the morning. Thank you,
Thank you.
appreciate it. If you could strike that from the minutes, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Hey,
much.
God bless you all.
God
Thank
bless
you.
Safe
See
travels.
ya.
See you later, brother. Thank you so much. All right, well, department reports. I don't have anything new at the moment. Cindy, Jan didn't give you anything to cover, did she?
No.
Okay. Council members, Brandon, let's start with you.
I have nothing to bring up.
Okay, Bob,
I don't have anything.
Jason,
The only thing I have is, again, the Cars and Coffee this past Saturday, another great turnout, 1920 cars, had new faces, new cars, we had people from Winchester, had a student from Ball State drive his car over,
cool.
so it's really cool.
Awesome. And we've got somebody, are you going to be speaking about, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I kinda am.
Yes.
Okay, no, we've got somebody that's gonna speak to that area hopefully
Okay.
soon, so, I mean, some good stuff happening, so. No, thank you for sharing. Tim?
I just want to say to Jason, I'm envious because I can't get there on Saturday morning because my boss wants to make me work away from me. So by the time I'm done working, they're done, but
That's
I
the same
look
guy,
at the picture.
the same guy won't pay for your vacation.
One nasty boss, isn't he?
I have a saying about that, but I won't say it here. But, appreciate it. I really enjoyed seeing the pictures on Facebook and seeing the crowd there. It's great. So
Good.
I don't have anything else though.
No, no problem. Tito?
So yeah, I have been participating in the organizing committee for the Union City Fiesta arts and cultural event that is going to happen at Artisan Park on September 24th. It's going to be an exciting event. You can check my councilman page or any number of other people. I'm sure they've shared it for the schedule. I think the food trucks will be opening at 1 o'clock, so this is a week from this Saturday, at 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. And then there'll be all kinds of activities. I won't go through them all, but just to call your attention to watch out for that on Facebook. Exactly. So the other thing that I wanted to bring up is just to say that there have been a number of people in town who have raised concern again. I know we've talked about this before, about the playground equipment at Harder Park. They're just beating their chests, and Tito, you know, I have to take my grandchildren or my kids, as the case may be, to another town because they are afraid to bring them to play on this equipment. I mean, I played on it when I was yay high, and it's still there. So if I know there's a huge plan that we're working up, and we want to get grant resources. I mean, that could be a multi-year process. But I'm wondering if we would be open to considering doing something else. I mean, and I had one person, you know, complain bitterly, I mean, how come we're buying $30,000 equipment to paint football fields, which, I mean, I voted for that for the reasons that we all agreed. But they consider it a slap in the face that, I mean, we could buy a playground equipment for that much. You know, when there are children in town, we're not doing enough for the children. So just wanted to bring that into attention.
I would just sincerely ask for patience, and we absolutely positively are in pursuit of that, and it will happen. It never, like everything else in our life, nothing ever happens fast enough. But we absolutely are addressing it. So, absolutely. Anything else?
That's all.
No. And thank you for bringing up the Fiesta, because that's huge. I lost track of the date because I didn't realize our council meeting is 2 days after that. So I thought we had another council meeting before. So thank you so much. September 24th. So awesome. Steve?
The only thing I have is the facade grant for Control Point 99 LLC. They've been working on this for a considerable amount of time. The back wall, and for those of you who can't identify where this is, it's the building that sits right next to Montana Lumber Company. That building was completely destroyed, as well as the roof, from water damage and just complete lack of care and neglect. What they have done is they've completely removed it all and laid a new block wall. We are working with the property owners for a redevelopment plan. That is in kind of concept drawing and engineering phases at the moment. So you can see the improvement that they made to the building. The building has a lot of character on the inside. I think if we can figure out how to fund the redevelopment plan, you're going to see something pretty special in the corner of South Columbia and Chestnut Street. And I would request council's approval to go ahead and consider this a 50% match on the facade grant, which would be $66.96 would be the total.
$6,696.
I would just like to say I'm pleased to hear that something's being done with the building, honestly.
Right.
I mean, it's sat for so long. It's good to hear that somebody's looking to invest in the property itself and possibly turn it into a retail space, so.
Yeah, because we have solemn reminders right now what happens when the buildings are not cared for.
Exactly.
And utilized.
And they are not done working on the building right now. There's roofers on the building putting a new roof on it. Obviously, you can see windows that are not installed yet, but there'll be new windows. They have plans to come around to the north side of the building and replace all the glass on the Chestnut Street side. And I think there's one broken window on the Columbia Street side. So all those, their plan is to have all the glass restored by winter. And then the ball's at that point kind of in our court to help them develop the vision and the concept of what this thing could turn out to be. So
It sounds like that, the facade grant would help propel that, further, their money and their progress on the project. So I think it's definitely a worthwhile cause.
I would say this is a fairly modest amount of money for what the project's gonna encompass. It's gonna be a significant investment.
and what I will tell you also, I think this is the third facade grant, and then I have another one I picked up today, so I'll be presenting another one at the next council meeting. So so far the ones we've issued this year have not been to the max. The next one will be pushed to the $10,000 max.
But I think we're still way under budget of what we budgeted for the
Yeah,
year.
we're under budget. Last year you guys set out up to 4 $10,000 grants. I think we only issued 2, and I think this is 3. So and nothing has been pushed to the $10,000 max as.
So we're sitting at probably what, 17, 18, less than 20, I think is what we're sitting at.
Correct.
In terms of utilization so far.
What are their long-term plans for the building?
I don't wanna kinda let the cat out of the bag until we do the unveiling of we've got 3D renderings coming and concept drawings for what it is, but it's focused on, retail, market type space, maybe some health and beauty type space. There's a multitude of things that are being conversed. We just don't have a clear black and white plan. And like I said, K.I.S.S Consulting is working on 3D renderings. Matter of fact, I gotta call him yet today because that's probably part of the conversation I need to follow up with him on is he was looking for more information on that. So both the mayor and I and K.I.S.S Consulting have been to some other similar type structures. We're kind of emulating or copying some of the things that we're seeing in other communities, and we're fitting that into that space. It's really a marquee place in our community. It's a corner lot. It gets a lot of traffic, and I think if we open it up and make it inviting, and put things in there that people are looking for on a day-to-day basis, I think we'll do well.
It says that Sherry Edwards is the owner. How long has she owned the property?
Her son has owned it for a good while, and she is, and I'm not 100% clear on that conversation yet. I don't know if she owns it by herself or if she's partnered now with her son in the ownership of the building. She's wanting to move this thing along. She's aggressive. She wants to see something positive happen on that corner. So Chad and I are both very pleased with the conversations that we've had with her on more than one occasion.
Yeah, no, good question.
I think the property ownership still is listed as Ryan, but in his name, but it's kind of a family
Yeah,
collaborative. I'd say it'd be a good, there.
Yeah, she's been aggressive.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way, which has been welcomed.
She's been in business for herself for a number of years. Worked in advertising.
So, if no other questions, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move that we fund the 50% grant of the invoice for Control Point 99 LLC.
We have a first, we have a second.
I'll second.
Cindy, if you would, roll call the vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Jason Brewer.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tito Pereira.
Yes.
Anything else?
Just a question.
Oh, yes.
When we did the motion, we said 50%, but there's a set amount, right? 6,696.
Yes, yeah. You want to clarify that in the
Yeah,
motion,
you can-
the dollar amount?
I didn't write down that dollar amount, but half, that'd be 50% of the 13,392.
Is it 66.96?
Yes.
66.96.
66.96, Cindy.
Okay.
Thank you.
And who was the second? Who's second?
Bob.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Tina. Anything else, Steve?
Not till we get to the rest of my disastrous conversation down the agenda.
Well, that sounds encouraging. We'll look forward to that. Old business ordinance number 2022-10, which is the ordinance to amend chapter 97. This is on the second reading. And we've had no changes since it was approved on the first reading. So it's the same version presented before you. Do you have any comments or questions? If not, I would open it up for motion.
I'll move we accept ordinance number 2022-10, ordinance to amend chapter 97, the junk boats, vehicles, etc. On second reading.
By title only. We have a first, we have a second.
I'll second.
Cindy, if you would roll call the vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Jason Brewer.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tito Pereira.
Yes.
New business.
Hey, yo, what's up, Facebook? How you doing?
That's not me.
My bad.
Oh, geez. Kobe, were you wanting to speak to this? Or I didn't know if, sorry.
If there's questions or
Okay.
concerns.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't know.
Direction.
Gotcha. What are you on here?
What are we talking about?
I'm sorry, under new business, the dog kennel and animal shelter.
Yeah, I did have a few questions. One moment, please. I put this out on Facebook and got some interesting comments and you know, people talking and thought it was just, you know, it's just interesting little conundrum here. Big question, we'd like to know more about this nonprofit Perfect, what is it again? Perfect?
Forever Friends.
Forever Friends, sorry. Okay. So can you tell us a little bit who is it? Who are the board members?
It's a new and still forming board. We do have board members that, and we filed for the 501c3, and we're waiting on all that documentation and paperwork. So that's just a new organization that's come to town.
Okay. Can we know who some of the identities are?
I'm not sure they want me to put that out. So,
Okay.
I mean, I can get back with them and ask if they want it public
Okay.
at this
Maybe
point,
not public, but maybe, I don't know, shared with us. I mean, I guess it only really matters if the next question, it depends on the next question, right? So will money from the city go to this organization?
No.
Okay, good.
No,
Good.
it is
Okay.
not. And we would invite any organization that wants to be a part of what's going on. The only reason why we brought up Forever Friends is because they were some of the members and some of the people in that organization are ones that want to make a difference in the lives of animals. And they came to us. So no, it does not, we don't give them money.
More like the
And
city,
in fact,
more like them
it's-
supporting the city.
in fact, it's just the opposite. What they would be doing is acting as volunteers to help us feed and water any pets, help us establish a footprint as far as adopting animals out and doing things like that, because that takes a lot of money. And that's what their goal is. So they're just wanting to be a part of what Union City is, and they're a bunch of Union City folks. So.
It sounds like to make this work though, we're gonna be very reliant upon them as a volunteer organization to kind of make it work.
We rely on that, and if you see other communities and actually do your homework, you'll see that a lot of communities rely on organizations such as this and a multitude of organizations to help them run these kind of establishments, because it is a big thing. The dogs have to be fed, 2-3 times a day. They have to be, vet bills have to be taken care of. They have to be adopted out. There's special rules and regulations through the state of Indiana in order to even adopt them out. And then, just finding them homes and things like that. It's a busy thing. And organizations like that, of course, I don't know any others in town or local, willing to step up at this point, but we'd be willing to have them on board for sure.
Sure. Yeah.
It's just a way of garnering people to come aboard, volunteers.
So in principle, other organizations could eventually adhere or, join the initiative at whatever point.
Join the initiative, yes. There's, we don't have any reason to push people away at all. In fact, we invite more people in than.
I would think the concern is you didn't have enough people, honestly.
Yeah, because we haven't established an operation like this before. This is just somebody that's willing to step up and help us get started.
Yeah.
If there's other organizations that have formed or are forming, then we'd be more willing to help. Take a look at that too. Even after the last meeting, after the presentation, I had several citizens contact me and come to the police department wanting to become part of what's going on. So
that's good.
It's not just one organization that we're dealing with here. But.
Have you thought about? I talked to a few stakeholders, and some of the experiences with cats are really hard. Like, not too many people are willing to adopt cats 'cause they get cats anyway. Coming to their front porch and eventually working their way into the house, you know, and they just don't leave. So when you know there are cats available, maybe you know at our facility, you know, just very hard to find people willing to adopt cats.
There's more people that love cats than you think. But there is also an issue, and many folks and citizens would probably speak to this. There is an overpopulation of cats, and when I did the neuter scooter before, we only collected 35, and they gave us a certain price, $20 if it was a feral cat, $35 if it was not. None of them were feral. A true feral cat is one you wouldn't hardly be able to keep it in a cage. So most of the cats around here are either been fed or released by family that didn't want them anymore, and then they multiply. So you know what we try, even when we did it then, several citizens around town called us, said, "Hey, you can take this cat, but bring it back because I want to feed it."
Oh.
So we did take the cat, and we got it spayed or neutered, and we put it back in the area it was at, and they continued to feed and have a relationship with that animal. So there's a lot to it, and you know we're excited that an organization has actually stepped up, helped us develop plans, has the ability to, in the future, file for grant opportunities to, you know, help with dog food and vet bills, and without me coming to you and asking for, you know, $20,000-$30,000 or however much it costs to run one of these. But it is getting to a point we have to do something, and we have to do it pretty quick. State statute, which is law, says that a city has to have a humane society, or we have to have our own. So that's where we're at.
Does the statute include cats?
All animals, basically. So yes, it's an animal shelter. Now, if somebody comes in with a zebra or a lion, you know, probably not something we're going to do.
Chicken.
Chicken. Really kind of good.
Don't talk about chicken.
But anyways, you know, it does open up a lot of doors, especially inviting other organizations. And I don't know if you've actually went out beyond your Facebook and talked to people. Sure. They want this. So, and it's needed.
Any other questions?
I don't know, for me, the elephant in the room is that we do have some capacity. We have a well-known, well-respected, standing organization that does fundraising and that helps people find their dogs and helps reunite people with dogs and that also provides funding for vouchers for spayed and neutering cats and so forth. Just a little bit beside myself that we're not somehow taking advantage of more of that experience, that capacity, because they do have a facility south of town, on the south side of town, where they can keep several dogs, and my understanding it's quite underused. But I mean, I think that.
Well, first of all, because I mean, and I don't get aggravated very often, but I'll get aggravated here tonight, okay? Because what's going on with that situation is nobody else's business. It's not. But what is currently happening is that we're not able to use that facility. That's it. You know, I would never sit here and say anything about anybody in this city that's given so much to the city, and that organization has. And heaven forbid me ever knock that person. It's not who I am, and I don't think it's who the majority of Union City is. They spent many years, and still help. But we're moving on. We have to in order to facilitate the many animals, the cats, dogs, and the work that we do. It doesn't have to be a partnership with them. They can still do their thing. Nobody's knocking them. Nobody. Except somebody's Facebook. And that's wrong. So I'm just here to present ideas with an energetic community-involved perspective to move forward with a program that is needed in Union City. Period. Not only do we need it, have to have it. We'd love to have all organizations, as I said, involved and highly involved. And if something changes and that person wants to come and get involved, we're fully on board with it.
Yep.
Your presentation at the last council meeting, you used the facility adjacent to the wastewater plant as the
Yes.
facility potential, but is it fair to say that we have a couple of other options in terms of facility? Before you answer, all I'm getting at is that I think I'd like to be able to initiate support without having to be committed to that particular facility, because I think it's still a little fluid.
My
It's not
whole goal
outlined.
during that presentation was to open doors and ideas. That is a place that we would love to have. It's outside of town, with the noisy, but I also understand what it would take to make that happen. And maybe that's a future long-term goal. And we have had some really good ideas come about for some short-time goals, and we can build on those. And maybe it becomes a better idea than what we had out there. So, we're just looking, we need space. We need proper kennels for the dogs to run. And when we start doing the collection of the cats, we'll need that facility too. Now, I'm not the only one with big ideas, so definitely interested in hearing them. And I think we've heard a couple even working with our neighbor city, UCO, in some aspects there. So hopefully it works out, but I'm just asking that please don't put this on the back burner. And in fact, the iron's hot. The current facility that we have, we could improve it. And if that's the route you want me to go short term, I can, and it's gonna take the money you put into that, you could probably put in facilitating something just a little bit better.
So so are we thinking about a different place than what you described last time you were?
Tito, we've got multiple options that we're discussing. We're aggressively pursuing all of them. It's a liquid conversation, and I don't want to give specifics just yet because we don't have anything nailed down. But I think within a short period of time, we'll be able to give a lot more detail. The important thing is that you guys understand that we have to support this. We have no option. We're required by state statute to have these facilities, and that's all Chief Wells is wanting you to understand. It has to happen.
I'm just wondering, if depending on where it ends up being, would that change the funding amount?
Good.
Sure, because what is really needed are the kennels needed to house, and these are basic needs that this would be the city needs to make this happen. Kennels or more space for the animals. Like we said, to handle the cat population, we're gonna need space. We don't even have a space for that right now. And then, just they have to be able to run. Right now, I think our kennel, you put a shed in your backyard, that's what our kennel is.
Yeah.
And I paid $1,800, or I'm sorry, the city paid $1,800 to put heating and air in that, with some makeshift panels for fencing that we have had dogs escape from. And we had to retain. Our bigger issue is that we only get to keep these animals for up to 3 days. It has always been the goal. We want to try to get it back to the owner. Or when we can't do that, we have to take it to Winchester. Winchester gets full a lot. And not knocking on Winchester or anything, but when they get full, they have to have people come get their dogs. So, working on getting them adopted out, working on making relationships with bigger agencies, things like that, that's what this will supply us. That's what it'll give us.
So I don't think it's a matter of us not wanting to support the initiative. I mean, it sounds like it's pretty fluid in terms of the location potentially and some other things. One of the things I asked last time was, have we explored the option or the possibility of maybe even like a partial grant funding of that, of any sort? Has anybody, did they have a chance to look at that or explore that as an option? I mean,
Well, there's, and that's
And I
where
know
the
time is an
501c3s come in. They'll help with those type of things, and those kinds of organizations will help us out with that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Another option, but like I said, we still have to have better facilities, is maybe some cooperation with Winchester and improving their facilities and making them bigger. Enabling us to better house over there. I'm not saying reinvent the door, but I have to do something.
That's not your preference though, right? Your preference is to have it here in Union City.
I think we.
Or what is your preference? Maybe I should ask it that way.
My personal preference is that I have a mansion for dogs and cats. I don't think you understand the dog lovers in this town and the cat lovers in this town, just the animal lovers in general. And they would love to see if their animal, imagine if your dog escaped. I mean, you guys see my dog on Facebook all the time. It's just a big deal, you want them to be able to at least know if they do get turned in or something like that, they're being taken care of, and they're not in a crap hole, so to speak. But ultimately, just knowing that the animals are cared for, and you have a facility that can hold more than one or two at a time, and just things like that, it gives a good.
Well, one of the things I think is important to recognize too is it's kind of multifaceted, because you have a combination of lost dogs that have a home, need to be returned to the home, people desire to have them returned. You have abandoned dogs that are going to have to be adopted. Then you have the potential for some potentially dangerous animals that have to be dealt with. So you have, just in dogs alone, you have, it's pretty multifaceted, and so it's pretty comprehensive to take care of all those issues at the same time.
It is, and it's kind of new to Union City, I get it. But like I said, I'm not asking for the multi-million-dollar doggy mansion, but, maybe a 20 grand doggy mansion. Just more kennels, space for cats, and
So-
the ability to better serve the citizens that own these animals.
So regardless of the location, I mean, the 25,000 that you're asking for would go to purchase kennels, no matter where the location would be, is what you're saying? Or?
I think your biggest cost would be kennels and utilizing the space for the animals. And of course, your overhead costs, which you have with anything that you run in the city, your electric, your water, your, things like that. And that would be the biggest cost out there, is making electric, water, and stuff happen before the kennel even got started. That's your biggest cost of the monies that I presented.
What say you, counsel? You.
Well, I don't think there's any, my assumption here is everybody's willing to commit to doing something. I don't know if we need to, it's hard to do this without putting a dollar amount on it, but if it's, we can have an open-ended consensus that we support this with the presentation, because it's going to vary a little bit as far as what your final presentation is, but I don't think there's any lack of support here to do it. So, we've had some basic estimates already, so I think having that in mind, I feel like committing to support that, regardless of where it falls.
Well, the biggest thing for me is that we're not asking for something like, hey, give me a better car. We're just asking for something that we should be doing to take place, and really asking for your ideas to make it happen as the council, and that's how we can push forward. But we have to do something, and I'm talking within the next month or two, at least to either improve those facilities or get a building that we can operate out of successfully.
I like the idea of potential collaboration with UCO too, because so many times one of the problems we have is that the dog the dog you end up with is from the other side, it's from the other side of the line. Dogs really don't care about the state line.
No, and of course, there's always the issue of sovereignty and what those state laws
Yeah.
would require us to do and to help, but I don't think that that is a bad collaboration that we could have with the city of Unions, or UCO. So, again, we just, if they have a space and it's pre-made, so to
Right.
speak,
Yeah.
then, and we could stick some kennels in there, boom, there it is, you know, and it can grow from there.
That sounds good.
So do we have a consensus to support, but yet would you guys like to see specifics down the road in terms of what dollar amounts are asking for, or what, I mean, what you're doing specifically? Does that make sense? Like, in other words, if this is our plan, this is what we can do, this is what we're presenting to you. These kennels, this facility,
A property, yeah.
this is what we're looking at, and this is what,
I
Is that
guess
what
what
you're-
I would ask is what are you guys comfortable with, even if it was a dollar amount, just to tell me to go forward, that way I have some idea. So you could say, hey, we're okay with you going up to this amount at this point. And you seen the cost of the kennels, they weren't that bad.
What was your cost for the building at the sewage plant?
An estimated cost for electric, water, putting walls in, stuff like that, it was gonna be upwards, probably mid-40s in there.
I think that's where we almost need specifics of what the project's gonna entail. I mean, if you go to one facility, it may be vastly different than another, and the support may be different in terms of what we need to allocate for the project.
So we're no longer talking about the 30,000 for the place at the firing range?
No, that's still up for conversation. We just
That's-
have had some
that's the-
other talks about some
That's
other
the building.
facilities.
At the
Oh.
sewage, yeah.
If you go with that, it's gonna be, you're gonna look at 45 to 50 grand estimated cost. And how much you have to do with putting electric, heat.
One question I had about that firing range, and I think some people misunderstood, but I mean, we understand that you can use a different firing range, and they're not gonna be firing, just so for the public, huh? We're not gonna be firing guns if we decide to put dogs there, right? So that's not a problem, y'all. But does that incur more costs for you when you need to train officers or go fire and whatever, however
No.
you decide? Okay.
well, I think I feel like we're at a stalemate, so.
I think it's consensus that we're supporting the idea.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You
yeah.
just,
Do we do that as a
So-
form of resolution?
a consensus, no, we just, a consensus, you can
consensus?
just agree that we wanna support this, but we just want more detailed, but I think he's hoping maybe to get a ballpark figure to know how fast you can run or how far you can run,
Yes.
is that what? So, and if you're not at that point right now, I would suggest contemplate over the next 2 weeks and see if we can't be at that point 2 weeks from now, what you feel like you're comfortable with as a collective body. At least now he knows the support is there, it's just to what degree.
I think we
So-
need the options. I mean,
Here you go, I'll give you those kennels, you looked at the price of those were upwards of 5 grand. If I could move forward on purchasing kennels and things like that, that could get it, cause those can be moved.
I think regardless of where they're at, I mean, you're gonna purchase those, right?
Right.
And how many kennels would you need?
Well, that space, I think we had 6, without having that in front of me, I think it was 6 kennels.
I thought that's what you said.
Okay.
So $5,000 a kennel?
No, total.
Total.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was like, thank you for clarifying.
He did say mansion.
I mean,
So I think there's no question that there's support for that. I mean,
All I need
and
is.
above and beyond that, I mean,
You tell me
there's,
to go, I'm going, because I've got the support.
yeah.
I'll
And-
make a proposal.
Go ahead, Tim.
That we allocate $10,000 as a startup proposal to allow for purchase of the kennels, but still allow for other funding for unforeseen that we haven't seen yet, and then where they can get that started, because you spend $5,000 on kennels and you're gonna have other things and you may have a little more than that. I'd rather just, we're gonna spend this much money eventually. But I'm willing to commit 10,000 initially, and then as the plan builds, then we can support beyond that.
If you get to Kennels without a building, where would you put them and?
I'll improve what I have, somehow.
But I'm sorry, are
Maybe
they
it won't-
outside though?
Huh?
Are they outside?
It'll be partially outside, it won't be.
Get some canopies or
That's the
something.
purpose for my 10,000.
Gotcha.
Is
Right.
allow, if that's the necessary direction to go, or if there's
It's still-
other improvements that need to be done to use another facility, that at least that gets us,
Right.
they can hit it and run without having to wait around for us.
Right.
Is that do you think that's sufficient to
I
do
do.
that?
We have first
And
and
I'm
floor.
gonna say that without, that's not, by any way means
It's the
the final commitment.
Right,
That's just
right.
the beginning.
Right.
Well, we have a first and the floor.
I'll second.
We have a first and second. Cindy, if you would.
Was
roll
that
call.
Bob? That's
Yeah.
That was Bob.
Okay.
Sorry.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy,
Yes.
Jason Brewer.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tito Freris.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Steve, is this where you would like to?
Okay, stormwater. This, you guys should have this proposal from Cooley's. This is, really needs to be considered as an emergency. We would have already have fixed it if we weren't discovering this issue, just days before the council meeting. So, this is a very expensive repair. Some way, somehow, a large section of the stormwater collection system on Columbia Street at the corner of Columbia and Oak has failed. The street's going to have to be cut. Columbia Street will be trench cut, and it'll all be dug out, and it's going to have to be replaced from roughly the corner of Oak down to approximately the flower shop. You can see the cost, $68,495. Again, we really don't have any issue or any wiggle room in this conversation. That has to be fixed. So the last really big rain that we did get, and I'm talking really big rain, Columbia Street from Oak down past the Elks was completely underwater, and the water was pushing up over the sidewalks because there's no place for this water to go. One of the property owners in the area has also had extensive flooding damage from the backup of the water. So just kind of letting you guys know, we believe these funds are going to come from the newly created stormwater line item that is part of the new wastewater funding. So it has to be done. So we would like to get it done as soon as possible. It's only happened once this year. I don't know when it failed exactly, but we got a bad rain mid-July, and I mean, we were getting multiple complaints about the amount of standing water. We got digging into it. We've hydroed down every hole we can possibly create, and we found it. We know what it is. We don't know why it failed, but it did fail. So.
This is gonna come out of an existing budget, or are you asking us for more money? Okay.
Yeah, no. It's
I'm just telling you because it exceeds $10,000,
Oh.
and it was right. I mean, we literally identified this middle of last week, and we were right up against the council meeting, so we brought it here instead of just fixing it.
Tim.
There's funds available. I think it will require an additional appropriation just because the random amount that was assigned for the appropriation was what, $44,000,
Yeah,
I
but
think.
the funds are there.
The
It's just
funds
a
are
matter-
there, it's just they're not
Appropriated.
They're just not appropriated, so we'll
Right.
have this as part of an additional appropriation, which is pretty normal procedure in the year, but the funds are there.
Any questions on that one?
Entertain a motion.
I'll move we accept the bid from Cooley Contracting for $68,495 for the storm sewer repair.
We have a
Columbia
first.
and Oak.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yes, please.
Is this is there an alternative?
Oh,
That's
that's
the next.
Oh, okay,
proposal.
sorry.
We have a first.
I'll second.
We have a second. Cindy, roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Jason Brewer.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tito Freris.
Yes.
Okay, and Wagner Paving Codes. Steve.
Okay, so you have two bids from Wagner Paving. These are on two different projects that we would really like to get done yet this year before they stop making asphalt. One would be 220166. This is basically the little short section of street that runs straight north off of Columbia Street towards Dollar General. The semi-traffic on that street, even though that street is only about a year old, because it was repaved in the State Road 28 project, is basically, especially the west side of that street is basically disintegrating. It's turning into gravel.
It's bad.
And part of the reason is there was never any consideration for the amount of heavy truck traffic that's using that section of street, and it's not wide enough to accommodate the trucks because the trucks don't have the angle coming out of Dollar General to navigate. They don't have the angle to turn, and then they don't have the width and the angle to get around the utility pole that sets on Deerfield Road, so they're driving through the grass. So this proposal is basically completely reshaping that whole area, making it wider, designing it to accommodate heavy truck traffic, hopefully in the attempt to actually save that section of road. And I don't know if anybody's noticed, but we've also had to use the total patcher on 28 to repair what appears to be a pothole, primarily from the semis driving over that area back out on the 28, which obviously that's a bad spot in the asphalt. So we have had to do a point repair on that. $23,094 is the cost of that repair. The second repair is addressing a couple of different issues on Cedar Court. That's 220166 as well. This area is holding water. It's creating quite the ice dam and an issue for the residents there. Plus, it is not overly easy to actually remove the snow in a heavy snowfall because of the way it's shaped. So what they're proposing is they install a catch basin to deal with the excess water that's compiling there, and then turn the whole area, instead of a little grass decorative area, turn the whole thing into asphalt so they can pave it just like any other cul-de-sac. So the issue is they're constantly off in the grass, they're constantly having to go back and repair and clean things up because it's just too tight of a turn, and there's not enough asphalt for them to have the dump trucks, the snow plows, those types of things in there working. So they want a catch basin, turn it all to asphalt, and just clean it up. So Jan's not here. She can't speak for herself, but I'll tell you what she said. She's concerned that there's not quite enough money in the paving budget to do both projects. Some of this money will be coming out of the storm sewer stuff because they're putting a catch basin in to deal with standing water. But Jan felt like there was possibly about $4,000 that, out of the paving budget, we would be short. In conversation with Brad, our public works director, he identified he would find $4,000 somewhere in a budget to make up that difference. He didn't have a problem doing that. Jan said we could always move some things around. The money's there, it's just not appropriated. So I just need your preference on, are we going to do this, both projects now before they stop making asphalt, and can I get them, Wagner Paving here, to do this? Also, one thing I want you to consider is by doing both projects at the same time, we're paying one mobilization fee, which if we did spring and fall, we're paying two. So there is a consideration there. They don't break that out, but I'm telling you it's considerable for them to bring all this stuff in.
It's gonna be more. Did you say that catch basin in the cul-de-sac, that was gonna be in the center of that, basically?
that's
Is that-
my
is that
understanding.
true?
I'm not that guy, but that's my understanding from my
I hadn't
conversation
had a
with
chance to
Brad.
talk to Brad about that, but which I like the concept of that, swale it and catch basin in the center, so solve a real problem there, so.
Just wanted to bring up something that may be coming down the road. There's our trucking companies in town, and a couple, maybe one other or business that uses trucks are concerned about Pearl Street
It's already being worked on.
between High and Mulberry.
It's already being worked on.
All right. You heard it here, folks.
The issue with Pearl Street between High and Mulberry is that was the next project to be done. Coolies have already given us an estimate to do that work. It's basically, Brad calls them a suckhole, sinkhole, whatever you want to call it. But the concern with Columbia Street has to be a priority because we're causing damage to structures and we need to address this. So it was going to be done. We have to move and shift our focus to Columbia Street to fix that first. Pearl Street is plated, it's safe, it's stable, nobody's gonna fall through the road. It's addressed, but it's not fixed yet, but it will be fixed. It's on the things to do list.
Any more questions or thoughts? If not, I would entertain a motion if you feel so moved.
I'll move that we accept the two bids from Wagner Paving for the two projects. The first one in the amount of $23,094 and the second one in the amount of $23,201.
We have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
That was Jason.
Yep, got it.
Oh. Okay, if you would, Cindy, roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Jason Brewer,
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tito Freris.
Yes.
All right, guys, thank you for everyone's patience. Before we turn over to any visitors wishing to address the board, Chief, we do have someone coming in from the Ohio side, coming back from Cincinnati, I believe it is, and she would love to speak with you because she's was part of a very reputable animal rescue service, and so I guess she's looking to collaborate. So
Yes, it's like they're coming out of the woodwork. And that's what we want.
Cool.
Because
Awesome.
that's what it takes to operate it.
awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Brandon, if you wouldn't mind having the timer queued up, and do we have any? Well, I guess I should ask. Do we have any visitors? I think we do. Visitors wishing to address the council? Would please stand, state your name.
Yes, Dave Blankenstoffer, 609 Madison Avenue, Union City. Why I'm here tonight is that, and Chad well knows, I have a passion of creating a Union City Body Company Museum. And I went out and had the art teacher, Amy Marker, and her students have a rendition done of what it might look like. I've already sent it to Chad, but I'll send this around.
And that's the building back there, Jason. That we're, yeah, back there where the car show's been.
So thankful Bill has stayed around because we're going to enlist his help for some of this.
Yeah.
He doesn't know it yet.
Oh, great. Yeah, I talked to Ted about that, by the way, what you asked me. So
Okay.
yeah, to get to run it through preservation. So the funding page. So.
Okay.
Go ahead, sorry.
One other thing is that tomorrow morning I'll be meeting with Brandon Anderson. He's the CEO of Auburn Cord Duesenberg Museum in Auburn. I'm going to take him some drawings. Now he can't have any of these, but he would like to have one. I have some of the original pencil drawings of the school bus that was made out of Union City Body Company.
Awesome.
I don't
Give
have
me some.
This is the one that Brandon wants. Pencil drawing of the Auburn Hotel Speedster. Quite a drawing. Just got one more here. I have an original picture of Charlie Alsberger in his, I don't know what kind of car this is, but
gosh, and that's in Union City too. I mean,
Yeah.
we're,
Right down the street here on
I
Pearl
was
Street.
gonna say,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
In front of the house down.
So,
I've seen that picture.
that's coming back. That one I'm gonna donate to the Auburn Museum because of the connection. I do have other prints of that. And here's an oil base picture of a step van. Now, I've probably got 25 of these type drawings. What I did, I rescued them out of a dumpster. When the new company came in, they threw it all away.
Oh, my goodness.
It was raining that day, so I salvaged as much as I can. I sent a lot of it to the preservation group, kept some of the ones I deemed that I would like to keep. But I'm getting to the age now, it's time that somebody gets to view all this. I've got a lot of memorabilia that I'm willing to donate to this museum, plus help getting it done, so.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. And just a heads up, like you said, recruiting Bill to help through preservation. We want to go ahead and start a fundraising page for this, so people will be able to donate to preservation for this initiative. And of course, preservation is a 501c3, so it'd be a tax deductible donation, but it's to help make this museum a reality. The museum, the building itself, very, very generously is being gifted by Mr. Ron Moe to preservation. So it's very, very, very generous on his behalf. Quite a notion. And so the idea is to make it look like what you just saw, picture, and then to house not only artifacts from the body company, but a vehicle or two, correct? To be housed in there.
I have already someone's donated an old buggy that Union City Body Company made years ago. And there's another smaller vehicle we're trying to get our hands on, but I'm not sure we can do that.
And it's such a blessing this has come together because this was not even thought of when the mural of the body company van was put on the back there behind the building. So it's just like all coming together. So it's pretty cool. Any questions for Dave?
I would like to have a drawing.
Yeah.
I can get more copies, but I want to give this to.
Yeah, I will forward what he sent. I will forward it on to you guys because I forwarded it on to someone already.
You sent it to me.
Oh, I did send it to you guys?
Yeah, we sent
Okay, good. I don't remember what's coming and going. What's that?
Did you forward the picture?
Did I forward?
Yeah, because I saw.
I got it.
You
I haven't
hadn't
seen it, so you want to forward it to somebody.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, I
Sorry.
didn't-
see if he's on the email.
Yeah.
Anybody else like to approach council? If not, our next council meeting will be Monday, September 26th at 6 p.m. right here, and the Board of Public Works meeting will be also Monday, September 26th at 1 p.m. I would hereby entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
We have first, we have a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.